It's official, the Islanders have cut their roster down to 23 players, and Matthew Schaefer has made the team. He is going to be playing in his NHL debut on October 9th against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he is not going to be the only rookie for the Islanders playing in that game. We're going to break it all down on this episode of Islanders Digest, really discuss what should be expected from rookies for the Islanders this season, and I cannot wait to finally watch some NHL regular season hockey. It's a shame that we have to wait until Thursday, and yes, we did have a goal of reaching 2,000 subscribers before then. We're not quite there yet, but that's okay. I am just so excited to cover the Islanders this season, and let's get right to the news. Matthew Schaefer is going to be playing in his first NHL game on October 9th, and a lot of people are wondering if this is going to be a 9-game sample thing or if he's going to stay the full year. Mathew Darche has not quite showed his hand there yet, but for the record, until today, he didn't show his hand on whether or not Schaefer was going to make this team. I think it's pretty clear that Matthew Schaefer is going to get the 9 games, and I think he's going to stay with the New York Islanders unless we really see him struggle over these few games. With everything we've seen in the preseason so far, this is a player who is way too good to play in the OHL. To be honest, he's probably too good to play college hockey. Either when a prospect gets to a level where they're able to play in the NHL, you really don't want them to play at lower levels because that can really cause them to make mistakes. And with Schaefer, I think his game at this point is more about fine-tuning things than really learning to play the game. He's that fast, that dominant already. He just needs to know how to fine-tune his game so it works in the NHL. In addition, Shabanov will also be playing in this game, barring some crazy injury in practice before the season begins. He will be playing on the third line with Pajot and Holmstrom, and Schaefer will be on the third pair with Mayfield. And I think this is the perfect place for Schaefer to start his NHL career, where there's not too much pressure. And some people might be upset that he is on the third pair. Let me remind you, third pair defensemen get a good 18 minutes a day, especially on this Islanders team where I think the defense is pretty evenly matched with each pair. I don't think there's really any pair that's going to be eating a ton of minutes. Back in the day, Pelech and Pulock would eat a lot of minutes. I don't think they're at that caliber anymore. For the best result for the Islanders, it's probably better that Pelech and Pulock are playing a little less. So yeah, Schaefer's going to be playing a good 18 minutes a night. At least it really quickly can look. I would not be surprised if within the first 20 games he starts playing 19, 20, 21. Really, I think the big question for Schaefer is going to be in these first 20 games how much he rises into the NHL lineup. Patrick Waugh has talked a lot about with Nathan MacKinnon. He started him on the third line, and as he gained more trust in the player, as that player earned more minutes, he gave them to him. And that's something I think I'm expecting from Schaefer this year. I'm using that word expecting carefully when it comes to Matthew Schaefer because I don't want to put too much pressure on this player. It's impressive as it is that he is making the NHL roster as a defenseman, especially when we consider while this Islanders defensive unit is not the best in the NHL, it is a formidable unit, and I don't think this position was handed to Schaefer at all. If you watch the preseason, I truly believe Schaefer looked better than most of the players on the Islanders defense in every single game. He definitely looked way better than Adam Boqvist, who I think was the second runner-up for that position. He also looked a level ahead of Isaiah George. This is not some situation where he's getting put in here to sell tickets. Schaefer showed that he was ready, and Darche affirmed that in his interview with Stefan Rosner recently. He said he had a great camp. I mean, you saw it all, his skating abilities, but just the way he overall conducted himself in practice, the way he works in practice, and the way he played in those games, and he got better as camp went on. And one thing that really stood out to me with Schaefer was in that game against the Philadelphia Flyers, where he looked a little rattled. It was his first away game. He made a mistake early, and then he made up for it and did not make the same mistake again. In fact, for the rest of the game, the second, third period, he looked very good. So his ability to really put mistakes behind him and keep on playing hockey is something that's going to go very well for him early on in his NHL career. Because look, there are going to be mistakes with Matthew Schaefer. He is not going to be a perfect player. It would not be fair to expect him to be a perfect player, even if he played a full season with the Erie Otters last season, which he didn't. He only played 17 games. But from what he showed in those games, from what he showed in the preseason with the New York Islanders, he is ready to show what he can do in the NHL. And really, what I'm trying to say here is, while I'm not putting point expectations for Schaefer, what I really expect for him is for him to learn quickly, for him to make mistakes and adjust as the season goes on. And my hopes, I guess hopes is a better word, for for Schaefer as opposed to expectations. I don't want to put expectations on this 18-year-old kid to be the savior of the New York Islanders. But my hopes are, as this season goes on, he continues to make confidence, to make the coaching staff and Mathew Darche confident in his play, so that eventually he moves up the lineup and perhaps makes Pelech a little more expendable for the New York Islanders, earning a spot playing with Pulock rather than Mayfield. That's really my expectation for Schaefer this season, for him to work his way into the top 4 of the New York Islanders. So by the end of the year, he's playing 20, 22, 23, whatever, how many minutes, and really working his way up. So he starts on the second power play, and by the end of the season, he takes Tony DeAngelo's spot on the first power play. That's what I think would be a successful season for Mathew Schaefer. Now, he's not going to be the only rookie playing for the Islanders this season. The other one is going to be Maxim Shabanov, and this is one that I think is a bit more interesting because he's 24 years old. I think my expectations for him, if he's going to work on the New York Islanders, are a little higher. But then he also is coming from the KHL, so I don't expect him to be a top 6 winger right off the bat for the Islanders. I felt when they put him in that position early in the preseason, it was a little unfair. Going to be interesting to see how these lines work out in general, because while I love Heineman and I fell in love with him during this preseason, I think the first line is a little rich for the way he plays. Would maybe like to see him switch with Duclair, but I'm sure these lines are going to go through a blender throughout this season. It seems to be Patrick Waugh's style. To be fair, while the Islanders have a lot of different winger options, they don't quite have those bona fide top 6 wingers on the team, which makes it easier to kind of try to scramble the lines, looking for better chemistry. But for me, with Shabanov, I think my expectations are he does not quite light the lamp at the beginning of the season. I want to see him really get adjusted to the NHL game. The first 10 games, my expectations are going to be pretty low. But after that, after he gets more comfortable, this is a player who I think I have a bit higher expectations on in terms of points, where I think for Shabanov to have a successful season, he needs to have at least 40 points for the New York Islanders. I would set that a little higher, but considering how hard it is for the Islanders to get points in general, 40 points on the Islanders seems a bit more difficult to get than on another team where you have superstars putting up 90, 100, 110 points. So for me, 40 points, 20 goals, that's what I would consider a success for Shabanov, and I really think he can still hit that and surpass that, especially once he gets more comfortable in the NHL system and is really able to play his skill game. Because what has excited me with Shabanov, even though he has not looked flashy in the preseason, he's shown the fundamentals are there. And if the fundamentals are there, if you can defend in the NHL, if you can be in the right places defensively, if you can play in the offensive zone, then the flashy skills and the points, they're gonna come. And Darche put it really well when it came to Shabanov. He said, I feel he's progressed. That game, that last game was his best game, not because he scored, but because he made more plays and won more battles. And those battles, I think, are clear for me. It looks like early on in his first few preseason games, while he was willing to go into the corners, he was struggling with some of those battles. And I think a lot of that was him just getting used to NHL ice. I think he's going to be able to figure it out pretty quickly. And again, looking at his skill set, I don't think it's a skill set that's going to really limit him in terms of the ice being too confined for him. He's good at finding space. He's really good at making quick passes and getting the puck off his stick quickly. That's what I love about his goal scoring ability. He's not a guy who needs to load up a big shot and really needs some time to get it off. We've really seen in prospects that have not worked, such as Michael Dalcol or Oliver Wahlstrom, Kiefer Bellows, to name a few. Shabanov is more of a player where he's getting the puck on the net really quickly. That's how he scores goals, and that seems to work well in the NHL. So I think once he figures things out, my expectation for Shabanov is potentially 40 or more points, and I would like to see, as the season goes on, he gets a promotion, either playing with Bo Horvat or Matt Barzal. Which one, it does not really matter. I would prefer it be with Barzal just because I think the two match up better. But let me know what you think in the comments. What are your expectations for these two rookie players? Also, we didn't mention it, but as of right now, Callum Ritchie is not on this team. He is currently injured, but it seems like he is going to spend time in the AHL. For me, that is perfectly fine as long as he gets NHL time at some point this season. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this opening night lineup for the New York Islanders. What do you think the potential is for this team? I think there's a lot of variability when it comes to this New York Islanders team, and I can't wait to see what happens this season. So excited for October 9th. That's going to do it for this episode of Islanders Digest. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Patrick Nyland. Catch you on the next episode of Islanders Digest. Let's go, Islanders.